guys. Appreciate you for tuning in as always. In this video right here, I'm going to talk a little bit more about credit. So if you guys watch any of my other videos, you probably heard me talk about how I've been trying to repair my credit since I've been home. And I've been doing that, but I basically have one account left on my credit report that's being reported as derogatory. So that's what I'm trying to get off now, and I think I just accomplished doing that. So in this video, I'm gonna go ahead and give the steps that I took to get that negative account off my credit report. So what this account is basically a negative balance that I had with Capital One credit card. I actually had this balance before I went into prison, and obviously since I went into prison, it went unpaid for several months before they actually just closed the account. And then once they closed it, they sold the debt to a collection agency. So it's sitting with a collection agency right now. But the first thing that I did was actually dispute it with the credit bureaus. And I wrote a letter basically saying that this is being reported as inaccurate and therefore I need to have it removed from my credit report. And obviously the letter was longer than that. I'm just giving you guys a snapshot of what it said. And the reason I did that is because before I went into prison, I remembered the balance being around $300. The collection agencies was actually reporting it as somewhere near $400. So that's the reason why I went ahead and wrote the letter saying that it's inaccurate and therefore it needs to be removed. And you guys need to also understand that the onus is on these credit bureaus to report accurate information. And it actually says that in the Debt Collection Practices Act, and you might also be able to find it in the Fair Credit Reporting Act also. So make sure you look at those two acts and, just so you know the law and know what the law says. But also, when you're writing these credit bureaus saying something is inaccurate, all you have to do is say it's inaccurate. If you remember the balance being $300, if you have any type of question or feel like anything is off, say you remember the balance being 300, they're reporting 303. Well, all you have to do is say it's inaccurate. You don't have to explain that the balance is 300. You guys are reporting a different number. Don't even say all that. Just say it's inaccurate, because these credit bureaus are billion-dollar companies. They have more than enough resources to do their job. And like the law says, the Debt Collection Practices Act, the onus is on the credit bureaus and these collection agencies to report accurate information. So you don't have to do their job for them. So that was my logic. That was the tactic I used, was basically in writing that letter. But in my case, they actually got back to me and verified the debt. And let me explain this too. When you do dispute something in your credit report, law states that they have a 30-day window to provide you with verification. And what I've noticed is that I would say maybe 60% of the time, and there's some variables that goes into this, but 60% of the time, if the debt sits with a collection agency, they won't always have the verification that's necessary. So if you dispute something, you dispute it with the credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, they'll have to go to the collection agency that's holding the debt, asking for verification. The collection agencies won't always have verification. So they'll have to go back to the originator of the debt, which in my case was Capital One. And they'll have to get verification from Capital One. Now, they're not always able to do all this in a 30-day window. So, a lot of the times, the credit bureaus will have to go ahead and erase that account from your credit report because they can't get that verification in a 30-day window. And like I said, there are some variables. I'm pretty sure the size of the debt matters. I know different debts have different ratings, so, that matters. Whether it sits with the original debtor, or not debtor, the original creditor, or a collection agency will also matter, but keep that in mind too. But like I said, in this case, they did verify the debt, and basically the reason they had a higher amount is because of late fees, interest, and things like that. So I had to go on to the next step. So the next step was basically for me just to pay the amount, because I knew that it belonged to me. I didn't have a problem paying it. But I also knew that if I paid this debt, just simply paid it off on my credit report, that negative account will still be visible. It would just say paid in full. So if I applied, say, for a credit card, and that creditor went ahead and pulled my credit report, they could still see that negative account sitting on my credit report with all those red, missed payment marks on my credit report. it was just say paid in full. And I know that's potentially problematic because they'd be looking at my credit report like, man, this dude went months without making a payment and they had to close the account. Then later on, he paid it in full. So I didn't want that to be the situation. So I did some research, and basically the best thing for me to do was to go ahead and negotiate with the collection agency. So what I did was I drafted a letter basically telling them that I will happily pay the amount in full if and only if they request that the credit bureaus remove this account from my credit report entirely. So once again, I wrote a letter telling the collection agency that I will happily pay the amount in full if they ask that TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian remove this account from my credit report. And that way, I'll have a clean credit report. It'll be nothing on there. So I wrote a letter. They didn't get back to me right away, or they didn't get back to me at all, actually, after the first letter. I wrote a second letter, and then about 3 months later, they did send me a letter in the mail, and they agreed. It was from one of the representatives of the collection agency, and they specifically said that if you pay this amount by such and such day, we will, in fact, request that the credit bureaus remove this account from your credit report. So that was a win. That's exactly what I wanted, because I know that if I was able to get this off my credit report, I'm pretty sure I could get to that 700-point range. And then after that, in order to grow my credit, I'll just have to do some other things. But I knew just having that one negative account, that's what's stopping me right now from being at 700. So like I said, that was a win. I was happy about doing that. But it doesn't end just there. So there's always more steps when you're dealing with these credit bureaus. So just yesterday, actually, or 2 days ago, I went ahead and I went to the post office and I got a money order for the amount that I owed the collection agency. And I got ready to prepare a package, basically. And in that package, I was going to include three things. I was going to include the money order that I was going to send to them and the amount that I owed them. Write a letter basically explaining the situation and everything that transpired, so that they'll be up to date just in case they don't have notes or notes on what's going on. And I also included the original letter that they sent, a copy of the original letter that they sent me, basically agreeing to have this have that negative account removed from my credit report. So that way they know everything that's going on. And also I want you guys to remember this too. Whenever you're dealing with these collection agencies and credit bureaus, always write. Never call, get on the phone, because you want to have some type of paper trail. There's other reasons too, but you want to have a paper trail, and you want to be able to have these documents for your records. Because if you do things online, if you call, you won't always have, that paper trail that you're looking for. And these credit bureaus and collection agencies don't always operate, on good faith. So they don't always hold up their end of the bargain. So you have to make sure you have all your records in order to basically, prove yourself constantly to them. So like I was saying, I went ahead and sent the package. I had those 3 items in the package. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wait about 30 days, see if they go ahead and remove that account from my credit report. But just knowing how they operate, I'm already assuming that they're not going to do it. So the next thing I will do after I wait 30 days is basically write each one of the credit bureaus separately, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, and put a letter in there basically explaining everything that's transpired. And I also want to include proof. So like I said, I made copies of everything. I made copies of the money order. I always pay for tracking, and you should too. I made copy of the tracking. I made copies of receipts. I made copies of the letters. So I'm going to go ahead and send a letter to each one of the credit bureaus explaining everything that happened. And I'm going to include a copy of the money order, a copy of the letter they sent me with the agreeing to my terms. I'm going to include the receipt, which a confirmation receipt showing that I did, in fact, get confirmation from this money order I sent to the collection agencies. And I'm also going to include the tracking, so they'll know that the money order was mailed and it did get delivered and it was received by the collection agency. And like I said, they don't always operate in good faith, so you have to make sure you cross all your T's and dot all your I's. It's just the way it is. So that's where I am right now. I'm gonna see how it goes, and like I said, hopefully in about 30 days from now it will be off my credit report. But I was just gonna hope for the best at this point. But I'm gonna do an update video probably about a month and a half and let you guys know how the situation turned out. But like I said, do your own research. I'm not a credit advisor, expert, or anything. Check out the Debt Collection Practices Act and also check out the Fair Credit Reporting Act just to make sure that you have all your facts in order, you know what the law states and everything like that. But other than that, man, stay up and stay positive. Peace out.